And there we go. The HMV-102 with the steamship stickers motor is once again alive. We fixed the problem with the governor, which was just a couple of, actually there were 2 loose screws, not just one. That's why you always check. And now everything's back together and functioning. We have a new friction leather in there. That's your friction leather right there, that's new. I've got it set pretty close to speed. It's in the ballpark, so I know I don't have to mess with the friction leather anymore. Before I put the motor back in, starting to put some grease on. I'm going to clean that up a little bit, but just want to make sure she's working. The spring appears to be original, or at least an HMV replacement, and is in good shape. There's nothing wrong with it, no cracks, no splits. Although I will tell you, it took me a solid almost 2.5 hours to get the baked on old grease and oil off of that spring. It was a fight from start to finish. Solvents and brushes and putty knives and steel wool, everything you can imagine involved. Very involved process. Some are relatively easy, some you will earn, and this is definitely one I earned. We had the problems with the bearing caps here, these right here, this one in particular, that had been allowed to rust. The ball bearing was rusted into that little cup. They are steel, they're not brass. And lack of lubrication over many years caused just that one. The other one came out for me, no problem, but this side, nothing I did would get that ball bearing out, so I had to source one from a Victor. That's a Victor cap in there with a ball bearing. No problem, fits right in. It's a direct replacement. And we're just playing it, well, playing it. No, we're not playing it yet. We're just running the motor just to make sure everything's meshing like it should, and there are no problems, nothing I need to address while it's out of the motorboard. I always do that. Once it's in the motorboard, I'll run it to, I'll play dozens and dozens of records and all that, just to make sure everything's working the way it should and the grease is properly distributed in the spring barrel. You can see I'm using a light white grease on this because it is rather cold in this building and a thin grease is called for. You don't want something that's going to be thick when it's cold or thick when it's warm, for that matter, and will slow the motor. These are not the world's strongest phonograph motors. They're very good motors, don't get me wrong, but they are not super powerhouses like a 4-spring Victrola or something like that would be, or a multi-spring Victrola, I should say. It's one small spring in there. There we go. And it has enough power to get the job done. That's how it's designed. It's enough power to play records under normal conditions, with normal lubrication and a decent temperature. But you start getting into the cold temperatures and thick greases, and you can start slowing these motors up, so you don't want to do that. And there you go, just to look at it, well, was running. Back together, and next time you see it, it'll be in the machine, spinning the platter. Plenty more work to do before that happens.